What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another G80 install video. Today we're actually going to be putting front mount intakes on my G80 M3, compliments of the guys over at Project Gamma. Let's show you guys what we have. All right, another video for the G80. We've got Kevin here to help me today. And once again, we are installing a Project Gamma front mount intake system. So here's what we went with. Kevin convinced me to order the blue carbon fiber, so you guys can thank him for that. But it looks super cool. I'm excited to get this on the car. And they do sell a couple different intake systems for the G80. You can do a front mount intake system like we're gonna do, where the filters actually sit out behind the kidney grills, so you actually see the filters back here. They also do a shorter version, which is just under the hood. But the whole purpose of doing the front mount is just because of mostly sound, but you do get a little bit extra airflow with the filters being right here. They are exposed to the elements a little bit, but we should be good to go. So excited to get this on. But this process is a little bit cumbersome because we do have to remove the entire front bumper. So I've got a video on how to do that if you guys need that DIY. I'll put a link in the description below on how to remove the front bumper, but we're gonna do that off camera and come back to you when it's time to put the intake on. Okie dokie. As you guys can see, I've got the front bumper off the car. So in order to do that, I jacked up the car, one jack on each side, pulled the wheels off, pulled the bumper off. And now what we're going to do is we have to remove the stock intake system. So in order to do that, we actually need to remove this part of the strut brace right here. So as you guys can see, I've got this Keys Motorsports awesome carbon fiber strut brace. If you need a DIY for that, check out my videos. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this bottom V right here, and that will give us access to this intake system and the tubing right here. So this center nut right here is actually, or bolt, is gonna be a 13 millimeter, and then the nuts here are 15. So remove those two, that center one, and those two over there. Then this whole brace should come up. Just go straight up. Sure? Yep. There we go. There we go. So that's out of the way. And then we're gonna go ahead and pop these little tabs right here with a little trim tool. This one right here. Okay, so before we actually get to this, we need to remove this side. We're gonna take a 6 millimeter, unscrew that, pull this down just like so. This part of the air box should come up. Should be compression fitted inside of there. So there's one air box. Okay, then when you look down here, you'll see this little seat clip right there. We need to pop that guy out, up and out, and then this entire intake tube will release. All right, so you can see this is kind of the clip we're working with here. So I just kind of took a flathead screwdriver and propped it up. It's like a little C-clip that wraps around this entire thing, and it will compression fit right in that hole and this hole right here, just so you know how this operates. So that's how it stays clipped in. It's just like that. So all I did was propped it up kind of like this right here, and pulled it out. So that's how that works. So now that we have got that out, we can work on this side, same thing. The intake tube on this side has that same clip. So I'm gonna do the exact same process here. Pull it out. So it clips out. Gotta do it on both sides. There we go. Make sure it stays out. There. And then pull up on it. And this side I've already kind of pulled out of here. So to navigate this out of the car, it might be helpful to remove the engine cover too, but I'm just gonna struggle to get it out for a minute. There you go. So that's the stock one. Here's the other stock one. Just like that. Okay, next up, I went ahead and pulled off the top upper strut brace right here and pulled the engine cover off, just so when we're installing the new Project Gamma, I don't want to scratch anything up. So I figured I'd just give myself the extra clearance. Now we're gonna move down here. There's this little intake tube right here that just literally sits inside of there. There's one on this side, and then there's one on the driver's side. Literally just sits in there, and that directs air into the intake. So go ahead and remove those. All right, so the next step, the scary part, we have to cut this part. You can see we've got a little circle in there that we've drawn. We're a little bit off. I'll probably go in a little bit closer to the car, but we need to cut this section of the plastic out because this giant intake tube is going to fit right through there. Not out that far, but once it goes all the way through, the intake filter will sit here as a final product. So we have to cut that out on both sides and navigate this pipe through, just like Kevin's displaying right here. And then the carbon fiber piece will go from there into the actual intake into the motor. So got a little oscillating tool here from Harbor Freight, a couple different blades just to change it up and see what works, what doesn't work. It's not super thick plastic, so I don't think it'll be too bad, but just take your time and cut slowly. You don't have to cut too much off. It's better to start small and cut more later. All right, so here's the progress. So you guys can see we went a little bit too far on our line there, but we cut in beyond that. And I think we've got enough clearance, so use that, and this is how much we've cut off total. So just kind of give you guys a reference point of how much to cut. On this side, I think we should be okay. We're gonna try to fit the tube in. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna fit this guy in, so it's gonna sit just like this, basically through the hole. So Kevin's gonna push it this way, and I'm gonna navigate this part out of the hole that we just cut. All right, so we're gonna start on the small intake side first. So you'll notice we've got a lot of these little clamps here. And so there's a couple different sizes. So Kevin is holding 60 to 80. A 60 to 80 millimeter. There are two of those. So we need to have one right here to clamp this coupler down to the carbon intake, and another one down here to clamp against the actual inlet. So there's two of those. So again, 60 to 80. So they'll sit on here like that and clamp down in there like that. And then we've got this larger one that's gonna connect this part, the other side of the intake, to this tube that we just ran and cut a hole for on one side. The other side will have another of that same size. So we've got these two big ones here. This one's gonna connect the filter, and then same thing on the other side. So the other side, we're using this larger coupler. Actually, these are actually marked. These couplers are marked. So this one has a part number on here. You can see LC, so this is the left, and then there's a smaller one over there that had a part number on it that was right. So this is the left side, turbo. So that'll sit on there like that. And these are gonna be 70 to 89 millimeter. We have two of those, so one for the turbo side, or for the intake side down here, and one for the carbon intake up here. So we have two of those. Intake will go that way. We've got another large coupler that couples the carbon to this other silicone pipe, which we haven't cut yet, and then another large one for the filter. Hope that makes sense. All right, progress report. We finally have this little intake in here. So what we did was we connected this to this, the silicone, tightened this one down, and then we maneuvered this one in to here into this coupler and tightened these two down. So I think we're okay. It's a little bit tight on clearance over here against this sensor down here, but I don't think it's gonna cause any problems, hopefully. But that's what that looks like. So those are tightened down, and then in the front, you can see, let me grab my light. You can see how much we have sticking out. So the cone will go on there. But now that we've got this side Together, we're gonna work on this side. So you can see I've got the coupler sitting on here, kind of. But we're gonna take this one, same kind of idea here. So this is the left side, you can tell by the skew, and then put it in here. Use the 70 to 89 millimeter clamps, one on each side to hold it in. And then we're gonna take that giant pipe over there and route it in. All right, here's the hole we dremeled out for this side. So we're gonna go ahead and squeeze this puppy in and hope that it fits. All right, so we have this coupler down here secured and it's all tightened down. We have this silicone piping through here, through the hole we cut, which was very difficult to get through, a lot harder than this side. So this is through and it comes out to here. So now we're adding the large piece. And so we're gonna have to finagle it in. You just gotta be careful with these metal pieces. So got a little rag here just to kind of protect the carbon. So we're gonna test fit this in, try to get it in there. So we finally have this top intake piece in. What we did first was we connected this to the silicone pipe here and tightened it, angled it in down into this one, into this coupler, and that made it a lot easier. We tried to go this way first, and then that way is more difficult. So I would recommend starting over there, coming this way, and then pushing it down in. So we've got good clearance, no rubbing or anything against anything here. And now we can go ahead and put our filters on here in the front, one there and one there. All right, as Kevin is polishing this down with some bead maker, I do want to also mention that in addition to pulling off the engine cover here, in order to get this pipe down in here, we did have to remove this vacuum line. So just make sure you plug that back in because you do need some clearance here in order to get past this point. So go ahead and snug that back up. And yeah, so that's good to go. I feel like a hard one. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, I've got the car fully back together. It was a pretty late night, and so I didn't obviously film the rest of reinstalling the bumper and putting things back on, including the filters, but filter is super explanatory. Pop them in there, tighten down those clamps, you're good to go. Reinstall the bumper, strut brace, and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a pretty late night. We were doing it till about 2:30 in the morning. So now it's Sunday morning. I'm actually going to take the car out and try to get some footage for you guys because I actually haven't driven this car yet after the install. So I too want to hear how they sound. So I'm gonna get you guys some exterior footage. Enjoy. Alright, so hopefully that video did some justice. And we went with the black filter, so it's very stealth. I was debating on blue or black, decided to go black just to keep it a little more subtle. So you can kind of see him back there. A lot of induction noise now, which is really cool. More so when it's under load versus just revving it at a dead stop. So you don't hear that whooshing sound as much unless you're moving. So what she currently looks like. I will say the induction noise on the inside is a lot more than it was before, and sounds really, really nice actually. I was expecting it actually to be a little bit louder, but maybe that's just the YouTube videos that I've watched kind of indicate that it seems louder, but I think it's actually a good amount of noise now that I've driven it for a little bit here and put some miles on it. I feel like it's subtle when I need it to be subtle, but when I'm on it, like, and I want people to hear it, they can hear it pretty easily. So hopefully I can kind of capture what it sounds like inside the car. I'm going to leave my driver's window open, and hopefully you guys can hear some of it, and then I'll do a windows up version and see if that captures it on video. So here we go. All right, so this is driver's window open. Starting in second gear here. Alright, so I want to give you guys kind of my general overall opinion, I guess, of the Project Gamma front mount intake system. Is it worth as expensive and the cost that it is? I'm gonna say probably not. Intakes don't do a ton on these cars. You know, the factory system is already pretty optimal, but it does give you some nice induction noise. Can I tell that there's an increase in power? Probably not. I mean, maybe negligible. It's hard for me to say because I just tuned the car like 2 days ago, so I'm still getting used to the new power level. So by adding the intakes, did it change from, you know, the tune to adding intakes with the tune? Not really sure. The install process was a bit of a headache. I would say if you plan to do front mount intakes, it's a lot easier to do if you've got two people. So I'm super grateful that Kevin was able to come help me do this, because he was here for hours with me. He was kind of another set of hands as well as eyes, because you do have to trim those inner pieces for the intake tube to slide through, and sliding that through there in those areas is very, very tight. And so having one person that's kind of pushing while one person is pulling really makes it a lot easier. And you know, just, you know, to prevent scratching the nice carbon, it's also nice to have a second set of hands where one person's holding one end, another person's holding another, and you've got, you know, just more hands on it to kind of get it all positioned to where it needs to be. So the install process is a bit of a pain in the ass, I'll be honest with you guys. So I'm not sure that it's worth all the cost. And you know, they do have cheaper options. They obviously, mine is the carbon Kevlar version, so you know, it's a lot more expensive. They do have just a silicone version as well. So also other companies make front mount intakes. There are also intakes that just sit right on top, just like the factory ones do, where those offer, you know, some intake induction noise as well. So just kind of depends on what you want to do, how much you want to spend. If you want a more, you know, kind of unique intake system, this is definitely a way to go. So highly recommend if you're going to do it that way. But yeah, so just kind of wanted to give you guys my general overall impressions. I will say, since the install process was such a pain and it took a lot longer than I thought it would be, and especially how involved it is to take off the bumper and all this stuff, when I go to sell the car, inevitably I will probably leave the intake system on, just because it seems like it would be a nightmare just to take it all back off. I got to take the bumper back off again. It's just, I don't know. So totally up to you guys. But yeah, so I just want to say thanks again to Project Gamma for sending these over to me. If you are interested in a set of these intakes, the carbon ones, I will put a link in the description below, but feel free to search around on their website and, you know, see what else they have. They do have catless downpipes as well for the G8X, so, as well as other cars. So definitely check them out, Project Gamma. And yeah, that's it. All right guys, so that just about wraps up the install for the Project Gamma intakes. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.